Hey, everybody, welcome to Coffee with Regina. I am here today having a cup with the amazing Velma Gallant. Gallant.
I
Either
say
way,
gallant.
Gallant. and I don't know why, I think I choose to pronounce your name different every single time I say it.
It's one of those
So
names.
it is, it's all where you put the emphasis, I guess, right?
Yep.
And so Velma is amazing, and she has this method where she helps people remove limiting beliefs from their lives. And it's called the Heart Compass Method. And she works mostly with divorced women. However, when we talk about limiting beliefs and that kind of thing, you know, it's it can work with anybody. And isn't it awesome that this week's theme on women business owners from overwhelmed to overjoyed is all about fear. And when you think about limiting beliefs, a lot of limiting beliefs create fear in our lives. So, Velma, I want to welcome you, and let's chat.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here. One of the things that I've noticed about our emotions, such as fear, is it's usually pointing to a belief, whether it's positive or negative. I know I'm getting a bit of an echo. Are you?
A little bit.
You know what? I'm gonna try these. See if it makes it any better.
Throw a couple earbuds in.
Yeah, hang on just a sec. Because what I find for myself is if there's a little mini distraction, I'm not fully present. And I don't know if anybody else is like that too.
Yeah, and I think with the earbuds right now we're getting a little bit more.
Okay, how's that?
That is perfect.
Okay, good. Good. Yeah, it took a little bit to hook them up. So, okay. So
So
yeah,
yeah,
those, I mean, honestly, our emotions are just um, pointing to something. It's ourselves communicating with ourselves.
yeah. I mean, when we think about, limiting beliefs and fears and all the stuff that holds us back, I mean, you know, because I know you're the expert in limiting beliefs. When I talk about limiting beliefs, I talk about them in terms of pine trees and willow trees. Being pine trees are very shallow rooted and they can be toppled over really easy, and willow trees are very deep rooted. And those are the ones that are really sticky and hard to pull out. And when you think about limiting beliefs, I think most people don't even know what a limiting belief is or think that they have one.
Well, there's I think I have a list that was given to me as I've been developing myself. And I think it's 36 general limiting beliefs, self-esteem beliefs that people can have. I mean, the most obvious ones are, I'm not lovable, I'm not good enough, I'm not enough, I'm not valuable. Like there's a lot of those kinds of things that can pop in. And we develop a lot of amazing tools throughout our lives that actually end up often being like the band-aid over a dirty wound. And we hide those limiting beliefs from ourselves, like, no, I'm fine. I know I'm good enough. I've been doing all of this personal growth work. I know I'm good enough, right? And we can know that on a surface level, but that subconscious, that inner self is the one that has those things rear up for us. One of the visuals that I like to offer is, as we go through experiences in our lives and we make them mean something. Like, as a child, um, my mom yells at me because I didn't do something good enough, right? And she really, what she's doing is teaching me. But my, 5, 6, 7-year-old mind goes, I must not be lovable enough, or I must
Mm.
not be good enough, right? And so it's like we put on a pair of glasses onto our face, and that's what we look at everything through. And we have experience after experience after experience, and we start putting on glasses after glasses after glasses. And I know you'll get this because you wear glasses like I do. And imagine walking around in life with 20 pairs of prescription glasses on your face, and you wonder why the world doesn't look right.
That is a great analogy that, it's glasses after glasses and you just keep putting on more. And then, then you have the shades so that you can block some of the ones out and just not even, acknowledge them. And yet stuff comes up and all of a sudden you're
Yeah,
doing something, you're in some pattern or something happens where you just do something. You're like, why did I do that? Why did I act like that?
absolutely, absolutely. I mean, and given life is, you can also use the beer glasses analogy, right? Like one more glass, right? And your eyes are getting all buggy about your life, and finally, we do often end up going like, I can't deal with it anymore. Like I just can't look at this anymore because it hurts. Um, and so, that's that band-aid that often comes over top of our eyes. We don't face what's going on in front of us because it hurts. We don't have the legitimate tools to deal with it, right? Like, yeah,
Mm.
affirmations and all of those kinds of things, they are valuable and there is a place for them. There's no doubt that there's a place for them. What I have found is when we eliminate a belief, that is the vacuum for the affirmations to fill, right?
Ah,
Because
yeah.
you want to have something to put in there, and that's where they can become really handy. Is after we've eliminated the belief, is to, okay, what do you want to put in there? How do you want it to look? How do you want it to feel?
Yeah. And so, when I'm talking to people, when I'm talking to, we'll just call them the average person, not a client, not a prospect, not somebody who even knows what I do, what you do, or anything like that. I just find that when I'm talking to, the average person, I can see stuff in them that I recognize as a limiting belief, and yet they don't even recognize that they have it. And so I think like the first step is actually recognizing that there's a limiting belief. The thing is that if you don't realize you have, it's kind of a catch 22. You don't realize you have a limiting belief and yet you're doing something. So something has to stop, something has to change, something has to interrupt you to actually stop and go, why am I doing this? Or why am I acting like this? Or I don't want to be like this anymore. I don't feel like people like me. I don't feel like I'm worthy enough. And they just keep with that story instead of going, why do I not feel like I'm worthy enough? Why don't I have enough self-esteem? Why don't I have enough confidence? They don't ask themselves those questions. They just live in the limiting belief.
Well, and that's the thing, and that's when I start working with someone, I don't sit there and go, okay, what's the limiting belief that you have? We don't start in that place. It's what emotion or behavior do you want to change? Because those are indicators. Those are the things that those are the life expressions of the beliefs that we have.
Ah, I like that. The life expressions of the beliefs that we have. So pay attention to your emotions and
Yeah,
those habits, those patterns, those things that you do all the
yeah.
time. And then you stop and wonder, why do I keep doing this?
Well, exactly. I mean, it could be um, you're at work and your leader gives you some feedback, right? And you're sitting there and it's someone criticized me and I get really, really ticked off about this, right? So that's, and that's the indicator is, why am I getting so ticked off about this? I don't want to feel like this at work.
Do you think the
And
average person actually stops and considers that though? Do you think that they just react and they continually just do what they do without ever stopping to think, I don't want to be like this anymore. Why am I doing this? Do they even consider it?
Some people do and some people don't, right? Like I know for myself, I wouldn't want to go I wouldn't want to go through job after job after job feeling like that, right? Like it's, what's the common denominator here? It's always me at that job. And why are my jobs always like this? Why do I always get angry? Why do I always feel criticized, right? So if it happens enough and somebody is self-aware enough, you might not get to the root of the belief by yourself, but you're going to notice, I'm tired of feeling like this. I'm procrastinating. Why do I keep procrastinating on something that I'm passionate about? Right? And so we start asking those questions of ourselves, and you can almost guarantee that there's a limiting belief underneath there, and probably a few, because one event, I mean, like I gave you the example of, your mother correcting you,
Mhm.
right, on something that you did. And I might, my first interpretation is, oh, I'm not good enough. And then another one might be, I must not be really lovable because she keeps, right? And things like that. And then, and these beliefs can develop in a beautiful and loving family. It
Mm.
doesn't take trauma to create those beliefs. Trauma can create beliefs, absolutely. But it doesn't take trauma for those beliefs to be triggered and missed. I mean, you got to think about it. When you're a child, you're processing that experience through a child's mind. It's not developed, it's not experienced, right? So
Mm.
we made things mean something when we were that little, right? I had my sister showed up 2.5 years old. I still remember those feelings of jealousy. And, things that could have impacted were, I must not be a good enough child. They had to get another one.
That's kind of a real thing. I
Yeah.
totally understand that one in seeing other siblings of people, and I'm actually the youngest. And I know you just said that, and I was like, I think that was I have a brother who was picking on me constantly, and that's probably why he was picking on me so much.
You took my mom away from me.
I
Right?
never actually thought about that until just now.
Yeah. So and it's simple things like that.
Mm,
Um the beliefs come from the meanings that we place on things, right? So if you want to use for an example, um even an abusive situation,
mm.
the first time someone is hit, they didn't make it mean anything that first time. It takes a few times, it takes a repeat of it for us to put a meaning on it. And that's a really important distinction, because the meaning is not in the event. The meaning is in me, because I'm the one who put the meaning on it.
Yeah, and so you're just making me think about all of our beliefs, limiting and otherwise. They didn't just show up because of one event, one thing, or somebody said something, we learned one thing. It was the repetition of it over and over and over again. And
Yep.
I know they say, I think it's different with different experts, but it's generally around the ages of 3 to 8 years old. A lot of
Hmm.
those beliefs are instilled, and a lot of those beliefs are when we're that young, come from our parents' beliefs. So it's kind of like inherited beliefs.
Some of them come in that way because if you watch something enough or you're told something enough, those start embedding themselves. We make them mean
Mhm.
the truth. It's a truth, but it's not the truth, right? So that is absolutely one of the ways that we do that. And I think you pointed out something really important there, that the meaning that we put on things is what creates the belief, but that's also the way we create the positive beliefs in our life as well. I'm really good at this. because I repeated that pattern over and over and over again. I rocked this, right?
I
And
I have this it's taped to my wall all the time.
mhm,
There was a time when I said, "Why would anybody listen to me? What do I have to say? You know, what makes me important? I'm just a shadow in the background, and I'll be the muse. I'll just give people good ideas, and I'll just hang in the back."
yeah,
And a process of many people saying, "Why are you doing that?" is what
mhm.
actually made me stop and think, "I don't know, why am I doing that?" And that was when I realized that my belief was, "Well, I'm not worthy enough."
Yeah.
And then there was it wasn't just one belief though. It was when you think about those beliefs, some of them compound. You know, like I mentioned about the pine tree and the willow trees, I consider those pine tree ones. It's like a little single belief, easy knock over, come up with, you know, figure out where it came from or not, just decide you're going to not do that and create a new empowering belief instead. And then there's the willow tree ones that kind of compound on each other. So it wasn't that I was just not worthy enough. It was, okay, well, I'm not worthy enough. And if I speak, people will laugh at me. And what if they don't like me? What if they judge me? Then what do I do? So it was a whole bunch of beliefs, limiting beliefs that kind of piled up.
Yeah, absolutely. I know, we take on survival strategies. Like I find that beliefs often show up in clusters, right? Because of course, one event can trigger a lot of beliefs, but we also find ways to survive these, right?
Mm.
Like in order to be lovable, I need to do things perfect, right? So then we go on and then we end up with a conflict, right? Because, well, but I'm not perfect, but in order to be lovable I need to be perfect. And so, we have that battle going on inside of us, because what we found was, um I did this one thing perfect and I got acknowledged for it, and I felt lovable in that moment,
Mm.
right? And that happened a couple of times and a couple of times. And so that's when we determined, that's when we made it mean, in order to be lovable, I need to be perfect. In order to be safe, I need to be invisible. In order to be, so those kind of things come up in us, and you that belief needs to be removed too, because what you'll find is, even if we eliminate the I'm not lovable, that belief gets eliminated. In order to be lovable, I need to be perfect is still there.
Mm.
And so you might still catch yourself. I gotta be perfect. I gotta be perfect. I gotta be perfect. Even though you know you're lovable, because that's a belief that's been created. So that's another one that we get to remove. And that creates more of an opening.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of beautiful ways to create those openings, and it is a process of, um it's a discovery. Like, it really is a discovery of, um
Of
the
self.
meanings that, yeah, of self, the meanings we put on those things that are outside of us. And
Yeah.
we planted it in yourself ourselves. Like, I love the analogy of the trees, because we planted that.
Mhm.
And, we end up, sometimes we have a forest of willows. Sometimes we've got, a willow that's, got, multiple big roots going out into our lives, right? Like, you could
Mhm.
almost say that willow, the I'm not lovable willow, had the I'm not lovable main root, but then that has that little offshoot root of the in order to be lovable, I need to be perfect kind of thing, right? So
Yeah.
it can be really fascinating looking at that, and it can be really, um, exciting
Yeah.
when we discover these things and the openings that it can create.
Yeah, so a couple things. First off, I love the idea of the word was awareness. And it really is. It's when you become aware, that's kind of the turning point where you go, why am I doing this? What is behind this? And I don't want to be like this.
Yeah.
And, I mean, sometimes it's not about going back and digging up where it came from. Sometimes it's just making a decision to change it. And then to me, those are the pine tree ones. You know, you just decide, I'm not doing this anymore. I don't
Yeah.
know why I've been doing this pattern. I don't care why I've been doing this pattern. I just know I don't want to do it anymore. So I'm just not going to. It's not serving me. It doesn't work for me. So I'm just changing. Those
Yeah.
are the easy ones. Those willow tree ones, yeah, when I explain willow trees to people, and willow trees, by the way, Velma, when people come to me, if they have really deep rooted willow tree beliefs, that's when I send them to you. I
Yeah.
work on the more surface stuff, and I know you go really deep. And willow trees are, if you know anything about willow trees are very, very deep rooted. And if you've ever seen a willow tree out wherever, you'll notice that there's not a lot of other trees around it. And there's not a lot of other
Mhm.
trees around it because their roots are very invasive and they wrap
Mm.
around and they'll kill other trees. So they'll actually, take over other trees. So you don't see a lot of other trees around a willow tree because their roots are so invasive. And so when I think of those limiting beliefs, that's what I think of. I think, it's those ones that are tied in, they're deep and they're wrapped around things and you can break down the top roots and start working on it. And like you said, it's you really got to get down underneath and really dig out those bottom pieces and there's some work involved with that. It doesn't happen overnight. Some people will be like, well, I'm just gonna change my mind and not do this anymore. And then something triggers them and they're right back into their old pattern, right back into their old response, whatever it
Yeah.
is. So when you work on those deep-seated beliefs, how do you approach people with, digging down deep? Because like you said, there's levels. Do you just go through each level and work all the way down till you get to the bottom?
So sometimes sometimes the belief that we land on is the one that impacts it. Sometimes it is a cluster of
Mm,
beliefs that are impacting it. I love the analogy of the invasive roots because really, one of those willow tree beliefs, it will kill off some of the beauty in our life.
yeah.
It absolutely will kill off some of the beauty in our life. Um, what we end up having a little discussion um, about the pattern, whether it be an emotional pattern or a behavioral pattern. I mean, there's behavioral patterns are often things like compulsive, something that we do over and over and over again, or avoidance, right?
Mm,
So procrastination sometimes is an avoidance because uh, I don't know about you, but there are times where I get into that procrastination thing, and it's like anything else for me to avoid doing what it is that want that I do want to do. And so we look at that, like um, when you're about to do whatever it is that you want to do, what's the emotion that comes up? And when you
mm.
feel that, what are you thinking? Because those are the things that give us the clues as to what the belief really is, right?
So what are
They
some
can
good
be,
tools and tips for people to use to collect that information? Do you have people journal or
um, they absolutely can. Um, one of the tools, because a lot of times in the moment, things will happen in the moment, right? And in that moment, we'll make whatever just happened mean something.
Mm,
Right, so I bring a lot of tools. The heart compass method is a variety of tools, right? And the belief elimination tool that I use is something called the left go method.
mm,
And one of the tools inside of that toolkit, it's kind of like um you have a drill kit, you have a screwdriver kit, right? So we have tool kits, and each of those toolkits have tools inside of them. And so When you have a negative emotion pop up, I want you to stop and ask yourself, what just happened? What is the event that just happened?
Mm.
And then ask yourself, what meaning did I just give what happened?
Yeah. Hmm.
What else can it mean?
I think
And
that's
that's
where
a
people stop and they don't think about what else. They just think about what is and not about the what else.
when I was younger, I'd landed on an aspect of this particular tool when I was younger on my own. It's one of the things that I looked at when I was doing coaching, 10, 15 years ago, was I get to choose what something means, right? And
Mhm.
I don't know what's going on with you over there. You said something to me, it hurt my feelings. I don't know what's going on with you over there. Somebody cuts you off, right? Like we'll use that analogy. Somebody cuts you off on the highway.
Mhm.
That guy's an asshole. Sorry.
Hey, we're just having a chat. It's all good.
Yeah. Um, what a jerk, right? Doesn't he know how to drive? He doesn't know how to drive, and can make up all of these things about it. And what I understood was I really don't know what's going on over there.
Mhm.
What if he has a child that just got injured at a playground and he's racing off to go do something about that? What if his wife just got in a car accident? He's racing to the hospital, right? It could be any number of things. And I'd rather make up something that has me feel better than to make up something that has me feel really crappy. Right?
And
So
that's a great way to flip it.
I can do that as an adult. I couldn't do that as a child necessarily because I didn't have the experience, the context, all of those kinds of things that I've gained over the last 55 years then, right?
Yeah.
I didn't have the understanding of somebody could be hurt. All I understood was you run me over. You
It's
ran me
it
over.
it's kind of a selfish thing, right? I mean, we
Yeah.
we automatically think it's about us, and it has nothing to do with us. You know, the
Well, and that's part of survival as a child,
yeah.
right? I'm not lovable. That's your survival at stake as a child. If my parents don't love me, they're not going to take care of me. And if they don't take care of me, I'm not going to survive.
Yeah,
So
that's a Maslow's hierarchy of needs, right? It's that
absolutely.
survival. So I can see how many beliefs, limiting and otherwise, can be created that, some of them, I mean, that's the whole point of a limiting belief. It's as we grow into an adult,
Mhm.
we we find that there are beliefs that we have that may have seemed true when we were kids because we were taught them, and of course we respected our elders, and if that's what they taught us, that's what we believed. And yet as we got older and gained that experience over the years, we realized that it's like not true for us anymore. It's, well, that's how maybe it used to be, and now I get to choose and rewrite my own story and make something different out of this. So I'm changing how I think about this. And that's actually
Absolutely.
a really difficult thing. It's a concept to grasp that a lot of us, I think, don't want to grasp immediately because we think, oh, well, that's us. We're being selfish, or we're dishonoring our parents because they believe this. And I don't want to dishonor my parents by not believing what they believed, even though I know it doesn't work for me.
Exactly. I mean, honestly, that's like science has proven that apples have this kind of nutrition in it and it's good for you. An apple a day keeps the doctor away. But what if you're allergic to it? Do you keep eating
Ooh,
it because science says it's healthy?
good point. That's a very good point.
So
Hmm.
yeah, those are the really important things. And that's where um like those pine tree ones are the ones that we can take that tool of what meaning did I just give what happened? What else could it mean?
Hmm.
And that helps us to take care of those not quite so deeply rooted ones,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. I think that's the most powerful question. I think that's the most powerful question to ask yourself is what else could this mean?
Mhm.
You know,
Yeah,
it's to look at all different sides and not see just what the initial view is. It's more of a to change it around and go, well, what else could this mean? And
absolutely.
one of the things that I work with my success principles work with Jack Canfield is the E plus R equals O. It's the event plus your response equals the outcome. And like you said, I don't want to be like this at work anymore. I don't want to, I don't want to feel like this or whatever. And it was your response that led you to believe, to feel however you felt, that
Yeah,
outcome. The event was, you mentioned earlier, like that scenario of the boss saying something and then, you feeling bad about it. Well, that was your response. And in,
yeah,
in that response is where you can stop and say, what other meaning can I give to this? And then
yeah.
choose to think about it in a different way so that you create a different outcome.
So sometimes that might be, if it's not a really deep-seated belief, right? Sometimes that response might be that you can choose is uh, he wants me to excel at my job. It's not necessarily that I'm terrible at my job and he's being really critical of it. It's he wants me to succeed at my job. What if he's mentoring me? What if in his view he's mentoring me? Right? So that can be where we can shift that meaning. Um, when we start saying, uh, no, that's absolutely not true. I'm putting my foot down. That's not the truth. What I'm saying is the truth. Then you've got a deep-seated belief there that is originating from very likely something within your childhood.
Yeah, and then you got some conflict going on.
Yeah,
That
yeah.
yeah.
You know, my 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 dad was always really critical, let's say, right? So whenever anybody criticizes me, I respond to that the same way that I would have that I felt when I was a child, right? So my
Hmm.
dad always criticized me, I must not be good enough. So when somebody else criticizes me, I must not be good enough.
Hmm.
And I don't want to feel not good enough, so I get angry, right?
Yeah.
So
So
it is interesting. It can be really interesting. And then once we take care of that, then the outside experience starts to shift again, because then the next time my boss criticizes me, I don't go to the automatic response of I must not be good enough,
hmm.
right? That's where sometimes the affirmations can come in is, okay, so I know I'm good enough. So I'm affirming that life supports me. I'm affirming that um, these things happen for me. Like I love that one. Life happens for me, not to me.
Yeah,
Right. And so when things occur that don't feel quite right, it's like, okay, what else can I make this mean?
there you go. Yeah.
Right.
I love that. I think kind of for me at least the two big takeaways are that awareness and being aware of, what you do and the feeling, the emotion. So
Yeah.
and then stopping yourself and having that awareness of the why do I feel like this? And I know I don't want to feel like this. And so you have
Yeah.
that awareness and then the idea that what if I gave it a different meaning? so that I can shift what I'm thinking into something better for me so I have a better outcome.
Absolutely. What if your emotions were the lighthouse,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah. Another great analogy. I love analogies.
Me too. Me too. I love it when they, because those the visuals often pop up in my head, right? And what's a lighthouse do? The lighthouse is what shines out into the darkness to stop you from crashing against the rocks, right?
Yes.
And so, what if those emotions were the lighthouse that's saying, "Hey, there's some rocks out here that you can look at,"
Ooh, I love that one. I love that one.
right? So,
So hey, we're just a little bit over time because we could talk
oh
about
wow,
this forever. I know we could, right? It's we get on a
yeah,
roll on this subject and we could talk forever, I think. And I want to let people know that you're out on Facebook. I know you're out on with your Heart Compass method. Where
yeah.
can people find you? Tell us a little bit about where people can find you.
Well, they'll find me in your group because I hang out there. I'm a member of your Women from Overwhelmed to Overjoyed group because I happen to be an entrepreneur. I happen to be a woman too, and I have experienced overwhelm and I have experienced the overjoyed. I love hanging out in your little community that you're
Thank
creating there.
you.
So you can absolutely find me there. That's probably going to be the quickest way for you to find me. And you know what? Just go into Facebook and search Velma Gallant, and you'll find me.
There you
So
go. There you go. Because I know you're building all kinds of great things with your business on and your Heart Compass method to help women and working with a lot of divorced women who
yeah,
have that belief that maybe they're not good enough, maybe something's wrong because something didn't work out in the relationship, and now they are resetting to
yeah.
become maybe who they were truly meant to be.
I think it's really important to point out that part of the reason that I've chosen um, women who are divorced is I happen to be one, and I happen to have come through that journey, and you know the things that I have incorporated into my Heart Compass method are the things that I used for myself. And so it's not, I'm not just somebody who's, you know, book smart and studied about what it's like for divorced women. I am one. I've been divorced twice. One of my divorces was a high conflict divorce.
Mm.
You know, I was a mom. I am a mom. I was a mom. I am a mom. I am a mom of an adult child or an adult. I'm a mom of an adult. Okay.
So you've lived the life, so you've had the experiences, so you know what
I
it's like.
I have, right? Like, and I've had the trauma as a young person. You know, I moved out when I was 16. I was homeless when I was 17. You know, like I've had these life experiences that have given me the toolkit that I have, that have given me the perspective that
Mm,
I have. So whether somebody is, um, you know, came through trauma like me, or they didn't go through trauma like me, because even though I had the trauma, there was a lot of beauty in my life as well. I have an amazing relationship with my mom. I had came from my mom's family was a large family, so I experienced a lot of that kind of stuff. You know, so I have a lot of that foundation to be able to be present with someone through what they're going through, and have somewhat of an understanding. I'm not necessarily going to understand it all, but I have enough of an understanding that I can be present with someone.
right. And you have the tools to help them move forward because you've actually
Absolutely.
proved that it works. You've done it yourself. Now, fun fact about Velma for all of our people watching and watching on our replay is way back when Velma's usually the one on the other side of the table doing the
Yeah.
podcasts. And she's been podcasting since what, 2004?
My first set of interviews was done in 2004. My fun claim to fame is that I interviewed three of the teachers of The Secret before The Secret was The Secret.
Nice.
Yeah,
See, and you did podcasting before podcasting was really cool.
I did. And I had so much fun. I did it all wrong, and I loved it. every single second of it. The unfortunate thing is the server that housed all of those 4 years of amazing weekly interviews crashed, and I don't have any of them. However, what I have made that mean is I have a clean slate.
There you go. There you go. That's amazing. Well, thank you so much for being here today. I really appreciate it. And I know it's an hour earlier. You're in Canada. You're an
So
hour
I'm
before?
in Alberta, Canada, so I'm mountain time.
Okay.
So yeah, this was like 8 o'clock in the morning for me, which is the perfect time for a cup of coffee.
There you go. So so thank you for all of our viewers, and if you catch it on the replay, feel free to put in comments, ask questions. We'll be out there to answer anything. If you want to get a hold of Velma, you can contact her right in the Women Business Owners from Overwhelmed to Overjoyed group, as she noted. She is out there all the time, and we just so Ann was with us. So hi, Ann. So I just wanted to say thank you all for watching, listening, and if you have any questions or anything that you want to know more about deep-seated limiting beliefs, Velma is your gal. Trust me, I know this for sure. So thanks for joining us, and we will see you next time on Coffee with Regina. Bye for now.
Thanks, Regina. Love this.